your main event. Introducing the hosts of Wrestling with Freddie, Jeff Dye, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Wrestling with Friends. Not a lot happened in the world of wrestling this week, but you're still going to get 2 episodes because we'll break it down for you on today's ep, and then the Thursday episode, we will do our predictions for Le Royal Rumble. My favorite pay-per-view of all of them. With me, as always, is Jeff Dye on location in New York City. How are you, sir? What the hell are you doing out there?
Feeling good. I'm here doing comedy shows, and I was just in Baltimore, which was great. Technically, Timonium. And then I've got a gig in Miami, so just taking the 2 days and doing shows in New York City while I'm here.
So at least you get to warm up at the end of your trip because you're probably freezing your little nuts off, aren't you?
Yeah, Baltimore's cold. New York is freezing. I don't know what Miami's like in January. We'll see. And then I go to Portland, which
it's
will be
gorgeous.
Cold.
That's how it is.
Yeah. Well, I hope.
Well, good. And then Portland will be cold again. The life on the road. Wrestlers and comics, the life on the road. We would like to announce that we will be coming back for a season 5 because y'all like to listen to this show. My favorite comment is still, it's like 5-minute show and 25 minutes of commercials. That's still like the greatest comment ever, but thanks for listening. And we're going to come back out on Wednesdays. That's our day. That's podcast day, I think, for everybody in April. And we're very excited to continue this awesome podcast with all of you. So thank you for listening, and thanks for putting up with us. Thanks for agreeing with us. Thanks for hating us. Thanks for loving us. Thanks for all of it. Let's start the damn show. The Penta era continues. His entrance, I think it was different. Did they add fire to it? Like, was the entrance even better than it was last week? It looked better to me. I thought it was... He's got more style than anybody in WWE. Like, just his walk, his presence, I'm going to sound, you're doing the walk right now in your car.
Kind of Eddie Guerrero-ish.
Bro, it's so cool. He has like an aura. Like, I sound like Charlie Murphy. You know, his aura, I can see it. You can literally like feel it on him, man. Like, there's just something special about him. And I really think that the WWE universe is like big time behind him. I'll be honest, I didn't know if they were even going to know his like call signs and like his chants, because a lot of wrestling is very tribalistic, right? And kind of like our country now. And it's like, you can only like this or this. And it's like, man, I kind of like both. So I really didn't know. And that first one, I think it sounded like a good 70% of the audience knew his Cero Miedo. But now everybody does, and it's been 2 freaking weeks, and he looked great. The match wasn't as good as the Chad Gable match. He wrestled against Pete Dunne. Don't call him Butch. But it was still a cool ass match, and I can't say enough good things about him. I love what WWE is doing right now with all their sort of international wrestlers, from Shinsuke speaking in Japanese to Penta speaking in Spanish. But I really love this dude, and it looks like he's going to be the one. And it's wild that AEW slept on him like this, and he was always a guy that was losing matches instead of a guy that was going to get, shot to the moon mid-card status and then see if that works. And then if it works mid-card, bring him up to the top. But WWE is doing a great job with him, and I've talked enough, and I'm going to give it to you.
No, I agree with everything you said. I mean, how long are these wrestling companies going to sleep on luchas? You know what I'm saying? Like, we love the high flying. We love the stuff. It's good. And I want to say this delicately because I love Rey Mysterio Jr., but I feel like the passing of the torch was long overdue. I feel like we still get Rey Mysterio all the time in matches. We get things. I love Rey Mysterio. No disrespect. I just think, he's getting up there in age. There's got to be another guy. And Dominic Mysterio, who is a rock star, isn't so really sick. A lucha, though. He's not like a high-flying flipper lucha. And so the fact that WWE is making the face of the new, like, lucha era Penta, I couldn't be happier. He looks cool. He's got the presence. He has that it factor. He's got, like, the little moves. The music, the catchphrase, or what is that? It's not a catchphrase. Whatever that's
catchphrase,
called.
yeah.
like a little thing that we all get to do with
His
him.
gimmick.
I just think everything he does is awesome, and good on wrestling for embracing it, and good on WWE for noticing it and pushing it to the forefront.
I love Ray, so it's like, it's weird. It's hard to hear anyone say it's time to pass the torch, right? Because he's the greatest luchador that ever wrestled, but he is like 50-something years old.
Mm-hmm.
And they have for sure tried with other wrestlers. They've given other wrestlers opportunities to see how it goes, to see if they can be the next Ray, and they haven't felt, for whatever reason, that they found that guy yet. But man, they seem to believe in Penta. They really seem to believe in Penta. And I guess you're right, man. It's weird for me to say that. Ray was one of like the first dudes that I wrote for when I worked at WWE, because Vince basically was like, "You're Mexican. You speak Spanish to him. Don't speak Spanish to Ray." I'm like, he speaks English, right? Like, what are we doing here? But yeah, man, I think you're right. And
It's not like Rey Mysterio's got to go anywhere.
But he does need
putting
to
someone
pass the
over.
torch. Yeah.
How many times have we had John Cena put people over? Or people had to put John Cena over. That's how wrestling works. So
Yeah.
for
you're right.
It's good that I don't want Ray to retire. I think that like we should have 1,000 luchas. Bring back all of our fellas. I want to see La Parka. Bring back La Parka.
Yeah. You love La Parka. He's your favorite. Do you have a Penta mask yet?
No, I would love one. But when people wear the Penta mask, it doesn't look as cool as when Penta does it.
Because he's all the face paint
too. And the
half mask,
contacts.
Yeah. No, he looks the whole look is awesome. You mentioned Dominic, and it instantly made me think of Dominic Mysterio versus Penta. And how they would get there one day, because I would love to watch that. Dominic's so freaking awesome too, man. I give him enough love. That's all I do is give him love, but I'm giving him more. And CM Punk was on the show, and he did his interview in the crowd this week, and he free flowed it. It definitely wasn't scripted. And he did okay with it. It wasn't his best promo. It wasn't his worst promo, but he is in the Royal Rumble and talked about winning the Royal Rumble. We'll get into our predictions on who we think will win the Rumble. But I will say this, because I've said it before, I'm not betting against CM Punk ever again. Like, maybe in the Royal Rumble match it'll be different because there's 30, 40 dudes. I don't know how many they're doing this year. I hope it's just the 30. But yeah, man, if he's in a match, I guess he wins, which is so weird. Party on. Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. And I don't want to talk about the match so much. We can, but the thing I want to focus on is how they're continuing to tell stories and develop long-term stories. And they do it with matches. And I wish AEW would do this a little more. They've done it a few times, but I wish they'd do it a little more. Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, they have this big old fight in the ring. Screw you, no screw you. And they're beating each other up. And yes, I sound like Michael Winslow from Police Academy when I do sound effects. But they had this match, and some shenanigans go on after the match. And Drew McIntyre's like, "Yo, I'm pissed off that I lost. I'm going to attack you." And he gets help from Seth. Gets help from Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn comes out, and he could have just saved Seth. And that would have been it. And in AEW, a lot of times that's how it would end. And that's cool. But they need to create story constantly in WWE because they don't get days off like we do. We're going to take some time off in between our seasons. But WWE takes no days off. And so they have Drew get out of the way as Sammy's about to kick him in the face. And Sammy accidentally kicks Seth in the face. Seth's a hothead. He doesn't take kindly to this stuff. So it gives them an opportunity to have some story and have some reasons to fight. Just a reason to fight. Not for a big pay-per-view match or anything like that. It could just be on a Monday Night Raw. It could just be the two of them fucking with each other in the Royal Rumble because Seth's like, "Nah, hell no, I'm knocking you out because you kicked me in the face." But it's those little things that they do, and they're getting really, really good at it, that give them opportunities to tell more stories within their 3-hour shows, their 2-hour shows, and their 1-hour shows. I'm not watching NXT, but I heard it's gotten a lot better than when I used to bag on it. So maybe I'll give it another shot. But anyway, I just wanted to point on that because we've constantly talked about their long-term storytelling, but we don't often talk about their short-term storytelling because that's more an AEW thing. And I just really like the way they did this, and I'll stop rambling. Go ahead, sir.
I actually wish wrestling would evolve with these sort of things. I wish wrestling was, so we always talk about the storytelling, right? That's what's the most important. I think we should have, if we haven't moved past it, we should move past Sami Zayn kicking a guy, kicking Seth Rollins in the face, and then Seth being like, "You kicked me?" Like, that's too basic of a misunderstanding. Like, you could easily clear that up. "Oh, I was trying to help you, dude. I accidentally kicked you because he moved." Like, it's so easy to like explain. Why don't we have a more evolved way of showing a distrust between two guys? It seems too basic. Like, you would just be like, "Yeah, I was trying to help you."
That's fair, but I think he'll say that, and Seth will reject that. Yeah, I hear you. However, and look, it's art, so you're right. It's not a scientific fact that their storytelling is good. We both have opinions on it, but I just think you need some of those short-term storytelling devices to fill in a lot of these episodes. It's not going to be this big, epic bloodline story. It's just a short, quick thing that gives them a reason to hate each other in the Royal Rumble or gives us a match on Monday Night Raw. And everything you said is correct. And I agree with everything you said, but I still feel there's room for it from my side and what I need from wrestling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
All right. Well, I'm glad we're making sense. Let's talk about WWE SmackDown. SmackDown is a wonderful show. However, this episode was not that great. Kevin Owens is great. I know that much. Jimmy Uso is pretty awesome. He came out there and Kevin Owens is talking all kinds of shit to Matthew McConaughey, which was really fucking cool. I love Kevin Owens so much. And he gets in the ring. Jimmy Uso interrupts him and Kevin's like, What are you going to do, huh? You got something to say? And Jimmy Uso just goes, "You talk too damn much." Pow! And puts one on him, man. And it was the show opened real cool like that. But it didn't, I don't know, man. It felt like we're getting ready for the Royal Rumble. We don't want to risk any injuries. Let's give some guys a night off. Let's get some fresh blood in there. There was good stuff that we'll talk about, but all in all, that was kind of the highlight. One of the other cool things was Damian Priest is a part of SmackDown. I almost said SmackDown, but they spell it with an S. You and I agree that the Judgment Day stuff was getting kind of old, and we were wanting to see it evolve like the Bloodline organically. Well, I think they agree, because not only did they kind of end that, they straight took him to a whole nother show, which is cool that they have that draft window or transfer portal, whatever they call it. They're trying to be like college football. So they brought Damian Priest, got him as far from the Judgment Day as possible, and now he can kind of not restart his career, but restart a story, find a new story. And they're going to establish him to the audience first because they believe that not necessarily everyone who watches Raw watches SmackDown, which I always disagreed with, but they said they had numbers to prove it, so what the hell do I know? So he gets re-debuted against Carmelo, who can really, really work in there and really, really go. And they have him lose a lot, but for some reason, I don't think it damages him. He looks like he could win every match at some point in the match. He's really, really good. He's from NXT, and I should have known that, but I don't watch it because I'm an asshole. So Damian Priest is now on SmackDown. He gets an established victory. I don't know where you send him first. Maybe after Shinsuke Nakamura, because they could have a pretty crazy match for the U.S. title. But eventually he's got to go after Cody, and him and Cody had a little like, "Hey, how you doing? Yeah, pretty good. How you doing? Yeah, pretty good. Welcome. Okay. All right. Peace." And then they sort of walked off and did their "I'm a badass lion and so are you" thing. But yeah, so those were kind of the big highlights. But is there any crap that you want to talk about that happened on SmackDown?
No, I'm just excited to see Damian Priest reinvent himself. I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. I would like to see him in some different ring gear. I don't know. I think that he
that's
could
a good
be
idea.
the biggest star ever So I'm excited to see, I don't know, just see what they do with him over there. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Dude, he should get some new gear, some SmackDown gear. That would be cool. Yeah, dude, Damian Priest, he has a cool story. I don't want to get into it because I like other people to tell their story, but you guys should check it out on YouTube or something and hear him speak about it. Pretty cool, the life changes that he went through to get to where he is now. It's just something to be respected, and you guys should check it out. Google him. All right, AE Dubs. This week they got into it. Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega got on the mic, and it was like, if you're ranking it 1 to 10, it was like a 7. Like a good 7. Ospreay's, I still don't know how WWE slept on Ospreay. He's
so
just perfect. Like, he can talk, he looks good, he can move, he can sell, he can work. Like, he could do everything. And I don't know. I know there's like mixed feelings on Kenny Omega, and I wasn't hip to Kenny Omega before any of this, so he's new to me still because he's been hurt for a while. I think he's cool. He's pretty good on the mic, and he's in good shape. He can wrestle, and he believes in selling too. I like dudes that sell. I like dudes that make you look good. That's so important, and the ones that do it are selfless, and those are the ones that do the best business, I feel. So anyway, they both got beef with the Don Callis family, and Don is quickly becoming one of my favorite managers. He just gets better and better every week. Dude scarred his own head for his art, which is so hardcore. And he just sort of lives it, man. I don't know how he's pulling it off.
On the Jericho cruise,
growing on me.
The Jericho cruise, Callis jobbed for like so many matches. He didn't.
Did he?
Yeah, he had all these kind of different things. He would just come out and lose in a match. I thought it was hilarious.
That's really fun. Dude,
wasn't even managing, just being a jobber.
He has been growing on me for a long time, man, and he's really, really good, dude. I can't believe he sliced his head open. That's so hardcore. But anyway, they got beef, Jeff. They got man beef. And it's not the gross kind of man beef. It's the violent kind of man beef. And yeah, man, they made the match quickly, which I still wish they would pull these things or make these stories longer, but I guess they're selling tickets for a pay-per-view, so I should probably shut up about that. But they both climbed up this giant pillar and basically challenged Takeshita, and I think it was Kyle Fletcher, to a tag match in Australia. I'm excited for this pay-per-view coming up. And then at the end of the promo, he gets the line of the week, by the way. Kevin Owens doesn't get the line of the week. It's Kenny Omega from on top, and he goes, and now I'm going to get off this whatever scaffolding because I'm afraid of heights. And he just said peace and climbed back down. I was like, yo, man, he kind of broke the fourth wall there in a cool way. So I thought that was funny. I wanted to mention that. I would rather see these dudes wrestle each other than see them in a tag match, but I'm hyped to see the match just the same. How'd you feel about AE Dubs overall? We'll get into more of it as we go.
Nothing notable really on my end. Like, in my opinion, I watched it. I go, oh, it's good. It felt very much like I was watching a house show or something, which I guess is kind of the vibe of AEW sometimes, but it was.
Yeah, sometimes that is the vibe. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not good. It kind of depends on the stories they have going on. Well, then I'll hit you with some other stuff because there was some stuff that I liked. One, Bobby Lashley looked great and Shelton Benjamin looked great, and they dominated a match that they should have dominated, and it was awesome for Private Party to allow them to be that dominant in the match. Usually the AEW matches feel like 50-50 unless it's a squash match. Like, everybody gets all their moves in, everybody gets to kick out of the finisher. And it feels very fair and even. It's like 51-49. This match was not that. This was not a squash, but it was dominance. And Bobby looked like Bobby Lashley should look. And now they're the tag team champions. The Hurt Syndicate have gold, which legitimizes them. Eventually they'll drop those titles, and Bobby will move on once there's room towards the world championship. I'm sure that's the title he's going to go for first. And Shelton can do great things in like the Continental Classic and go after the international title and things like that. But they look good, so I was happy about that. My man MVP was on commentary, always killing it out there. And the one match that I did want to hit on, because this was like the one bright spot in kind of a boring week of wrestling was Jamie fucking Hayter versus Julia Hart. And this was like a revenge match for Jamie Hayter because she had lost one. She got the Muda mist in the face. Ah, my eyes. And she goes down. She gets pinned 1, 2, 3. No Muda mist this time. What's up? You're by yourself, Julia Hart. And she took the big ass lariat from Jamie Hayter. But it's really good to have Julia Hart back from injury. Really good to have Jamie Hayter back from injury. Really awesome to see women's wrestling and to see a good, entertaining match. I don't know what the hell's happened with Britt Baker, but whatever story she had is now gone. Maybe she's hurt again. Maybe she's got beef. I have no idea. But their division has been lacking. Like, there hasn't been a lot of matches to see. There hasn't been a lot of opponents to be built up for Mariah May. There haven't been a lot of opponents to be built up for that people really were into for Mercedes Moné. So it's been tough, man. And this was like a nice kind of refreshing moment. And maybe it was everything else was so boring that this just stood out because it wasn't. But to me, it felt like a really good match. They worked super clean. A lot of the moves looked real. A lot of them probably were. And Jamie Hayter got the win and then cut a really cool promo at the end and was like, look, you're a bitch, but you're a tough bitch. And if you want to fight again, fuck yeah. And she said it better than that. And then she walked out of the ring. And I thought it was really cool. I even texted you guys. I was like, yo, man, check this match out. I thought it was pretty good. Did you get to see that match or not?
I saw it. Yeah, I like Julia Hart, or that's her name, right? Julia Hart.
Julia,
crazy
Julia Hart. Yeah,
I like her. My problem is, I'm not connecting with a lot of the mic work or a lot of that kind of stuff with what they're doing. But I don't know. It was fun.
They're not all going to win Academy Awards.
I don't want to sit here and be a hater, so I'm like trying to not say what I'm.
Yeah, don't be a hater on Jamie Hayter, bro.
It's like
hit you with that lariat.
I'm pretty critical of a lot of the.
You are critical.
That's going over there.
I know you're critical.
So,
look,
I'm like,
I don't think there's.
Fire 'em.
I don't think there's anything wrong with your criticism. I think you're always fair. I think maybe some of our listeners get upset because there is a lot of tribalism and that's my guy or that's my girl. And you're talking shit on my guy and I've believed in him forever. He's entertained me for years and she's entertained me for years. And now you don't like him and you're saying shit and you have a voice and I don't. So I get where that comes from. But I think you've always been fair. I disagree with a lot of what you say because I give more latitude to them, I think.
Yeah, you're very nice to the wrestlers. I'm very hard on the wrestlers.
Yeah, man, I'll put it to you this way. If I say a promo is a 7, that's probably most people's 5. Like, okay. I'm giving a couple extra points of latitude because they don't all take acting classes. They're not all, actors. Some of them just wrestle, and that's okay. And should they have a manager? Yeah, but should they get a chance to learn and develop that and maybe something cool happens, right? Like when Jalen Rose was originally on ESPN doing commentary and stuff and all that, he sucked. And over the course of a year, you watched him get better from week to week to week to the point where he became one of their best voices on that friggin' network. Yeah. And if he didn't get those opportunities to fail and F up, he probably would have never gotten better. He ended up doing like a podcast TV show with this guy, and he really was able to be himself, and it just kind of helped him develop his skills. And that can happen with wrestlers too. We've seen it happen with wrestlers. We've seen Solo Sikoa go from no speaking to cutting full-on promos to going back to not speaking anymore. Now he's pissed at the audience. So he's like, fuck you guys, I'm going out here. So I try to give more latitude with that. I also worked there, and I know how hard the conditions are. It's not an environment that's conducive to success outside of the wrestling part.
Yeah, it just takes me out of the story is all. Like for example, Kenny Omega is probably one of my favorite wrestlers in the last 10 years. I'm a big Kenny Omega guy. I like Kenny. And his last, when he came out and did big spot, it was terrible. And I was literally going, it made me, like, while I was listening to it, like, rethinking how I feel about Kenny Omega. I was like, this is dog shit. So I am at least consistent. I want the stories to be good, and I want the mic work to be good, and I want the wrestling to be gimmicky. So
you see, I hear you saying this, and I don't even get mad. It makes me wish I worked there. It makes me wish like that I could help out. one thing I was really good at, I couldn't like book matches very well. That's a technique that takes years to develop, and I wasn't there long enough. But I could write some motherfucking dialogue. And 100%. I would just write all the lines that no one would ever let me say in a movie because I always had to play the sweet boy. So I didn't get to like talk tough. I always had to take the tough talk, right?
Yeah.
And so I would just write all that, and I did really well for a lot of wrestlers. And I screwed up with some, but I got good, and I got good quick. And when I hear people criticize the acting part and the writing and things like that, I'm always like, man, I could have written that dude a promo. I could have written that guy something sick that he would have, chewed up and spit out in a good way. So I hear you, dude. I want the stories to be good too. I get pissed off if I get taken out of it, and that's when my latitude mode kicks in and goes, no, give him a break. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right, you guys. Stay tuned for Thursday's show. That's right. The Thursday shows are back unsanctioned just for you guys. We're going to give you our Royal Rumble predictions. So for all you people who just want WWE, you got it. Stay tuned. On behalf of Jeff Dye, I'm Freddie Prinze. Peace.
We out.
This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura Podcast Network. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.